Story 1. The Hotel of Lost Souls. Philip was a talented writer, but lately he had been facing an insurmountable creative block. In search of inspiration, he decided he needed a change of scenery. His friend Jack, an amateur photographer with a penchant for abandoned and historically rich places, suggested they spend a few days at an old, isolated hotel he had discovered in a forgotten small town. The Hotel of Lost Souls, Jack said, showing pictures of the place. They say it's haunted. It might be just what you need to find your inspiration. Intrigued by the suggestion, Philip agreed. Together, they set off for the hotel, hoping that the isolation and mysterious environment would provide what Philip needed to break through his creative block. When they arrived, they were greeted by a sight that was both enchanting and unsettling. The hotel, a majestic Victorian-style building, was in ruins. Broken windows, ivy climbing up the walls, and an atmosphere of abandonment permeated the place. The rusty sign still displayed the name Hotel of Lost Souls. "This place has a history," said Jack, adjusting his camera. "Let's find out what happened here." They entered the hotel cautiously, feeling the floor creak under their feet. The main lobby was a spectacle of decay. Broken crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and the reception desk was covered in dust and cobwebs. Clara began taking photos while Philip explored the dark corridors. As they walked through the halls, they began to feel a strange presence. Doors that were open closed by themselves, and almost imperceptible whispers echoed through the walls. Philip tried to ignore the unsettling signs, focusing on finding a story or inspiration. "Look at this," Jack said, opening a door that led to an old living room. In the corner of the room, there was an extinguished fireplace and an old grand piano covered in dust. Philip started taking notes while Jack snapped photos. Suddenly, they heard footsteps upstairs. They exchanged glances, tension evident on their faces. "Did you hear that?" Jack asked, trying to stay calm. "Yes," replied Philip, turning on his flashlight. "Let's see what's going on up there." They climbed the central staircase, which creaked with every step. The second floor was even more deteriorated, with broken furniture and peeling walls. As they approached one of the rooms, they heard a faint cry coming from inside. Philip slowly opened the door, revealing a ruined room. In the corner, they saw the hazy figure of a woman dressed in an old-fashioned dress. She was sitting on the floor, holding something in her hands and crying silently. "Oh my God," Jack whispered, gripping Philip's arm. "It's a ghost." The figure lifted her head and looked directly at them. Her eyes were filled with sadness and despair. "Please help me," she said, her voice a distant echo. Philip stepped forward, trying to communicate. "Who are you? What happened here?" "My name is Beatrice," the spirit replied, her form flickering slightly. "I was a guest at this hotel. I died here many years ago, and my soul has not found peace since." Jack felt a shiver run down his spine. "How can we help you?" Beatrice stood up slowly, still holding something in her hand. "You need to find out what really happened to me. My diary is hidden in this hotel. It contains the answers you seek." Philip and Jack nodded, determined to help. "We'll find it," Philip said, feeling the urgency of the situation. Beatrice smiled faintly, her figure beginning to fade. "Thank you. Be waiting." The two friends began searching for the diary, combing through every room and corridor of the hotel. As they explored, the feeling of being watched intensified, and the paranormal phenomena continued to occur. Lights flickered, shadows moved, and whispering voices seemed to follow them everywhere. After hours of searching, they finally found Beatrice's diary in a trunk in the hotel's basement. Jack opened the diary carefully, his hands trembling with excitement and fear. Pages were yellowed and fragile, but the words written were still legible. "Let's read," Jack said, moving closer to Philip. The diary revealed Beatrice's tragic story. She was a wealthy young woman who had stayed at the Hotel of Lost Souls with her fiancé. During her stay, she discovered dark secrets about the hotel and its owner, a cruel and unscrupulous man. Beatrice found evidence that the owner was involved in illegal activities and had committed several crimes, including murder. When Beatrice confronted the owner, he killed her to silence her. Her body was hidden in the basement, and her death was covered up as a disappearance. The diary contained all the details about the owner's crimes and Beatrice's fate. "We need to take this to the police," Jack said, feeling the gravity of the situation. "People need to know the truth." Before they could leave the basement, Beatrice's figure appeared again. "You found my diary. Now please, take it to the authorities. Only then will my soul find peace." Philip nodded, tears in his eyes. "We'll do it, Beatrice. We promise." With the diary in hand, Philip and Jack left the hotel and went straight to the local police station. They handed the diary to the police chief, who was shocked by the revelations. An investigation was opened, and the crimes of the hotel's former owner were finally exposed. Days later, Philip and Jack returned to the Hotel of Lost Souls to see if Beatrice had found peace. As they entered the lobby, they felt a different atmosphere. The place was quieter, and the feeling of oppression had disappeared. Suddenly, Beatrice's figure appeared before them, but this time she was smiling. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "Now I can rest in peace." With those words, Beatrice's figure slowly faded away until she disappeared completely. Philip and Jack felt a sense of relief and accomplishment, knowing they had helped a lost soul find rest. In the following days, the story of the Hotel of Lost Souls and Beatrice became known in the town. The hotel, once avoided by everyone, became a place of remembrance and respect. Philip found inspiration for his new book, inspired by the experience they had at the abandoned hotel. Jack, in turn, continued to explore and photograph old places, but now with a new respect for the mysteries and stories they held. Story 2, Room 217. Carla was a paranormal investigator known for her ability to unravel supernatural mystery. Over the years, she had investigated haunted houses, abandoned factories, and even cemeteries, but nothing had prepared her for the challenge she was about to face. When she received an invitation to investigate Room 217 in one of the city's most luxurious and oldest hotels, she knew it would be a unique experience. The Imperial Hotel was famous for its elegant accommodations and impeccable service, but also for its ghost story. Many guests reported paranormal experiences, especially in Room 217. Flickering lights, doors locking on their own, and most disturbingly, the sight of a woman dressed in white wandering the room. Carla decided to bring her tech assistant, Lucas, a young technology enthusiast and natural skeptic. He would help document the events and ensure no detail was missed. "Do you really believe we'll find something?" Lucas asked as he unloaded the equipment from the car. "I don't know, but something is happening in that room," Carla replied. "We need to find out what it is." As they entered the hotel, they were greeted by the manager, Mr. Allen, a middle-aged man who seemed relieved to see them. "Thank you for coming," he said, shaking Carla's hand. "The reports about Room 217 are hurting our reputation. We need a solution." "We'll do our best to help," Carla assured him. "And we go straight to the room?" "Of course," said the manager, leading them through the opulent corridors until they reached the second floor. They stopped in front of the door to Room 217. "I'll leave you alone here. If you need anything, I'll be at the reception." Carla and Lucas entered the room, which was decorated with antique, luxurious furniture. It was hard to imagine something sinister happening in such a beautiful place. Lucas began setting up the cameras and motion sensors while Carla took notes about the environment. "Do you feel anything?" Lucas asked, turning on the equipment. "Not yet," Carla replied, focused. "But let's see what happens when night falls." As the sun set, the room seemed to take on a different atmosphere. The temperature dropped slightly, and the air felt heavier. Carla felt a shiver run down her spine, but remained calm. She was a professional and knew she needed to observe and document everything precisely. "Let's start the spiritual communication session," she said, sitting at the central table in the room. Lucas adjusted the camera to capture everything. Carla closed her eyes and began to speak in a soft, inviting tone. "If there is someone here with us, please make yourself known. We want to help." For a few minutes, nothing happened. Lucas began to feel impatient, but then the lights in the room started to flicker. Carla opened her eyes and saw a faint mist forming near the window. "Do you see that?" Lucas whispered, adjusting the camera to focus on the mist. "Yes," Carla replied, keeping her voice calm. "Please, tell us who you are and what happened to you." The mist began to condense, forming the figure of a woman dressed in white. Face was pale and sad, and her eyes seemed to reflect deep pain. "My name is Helen," the figure said, her voice a soft echo. "I was killed here, in this room." Carla felt a lump in her throat. "Helen, what happened to you? How can we help you?" Helen looked at Carla, her tears shining like crystals. "I was murdered by the man I loved. He killed me because I discovered his dark secrets. He was never punished, and I am trapped here, seeking justice." Carla and Lucas exchanged looks. "Helen, we need more information to help you. Where can we find evidence of what happened?" "There's a diary hidden in the floor of the room," Helen said, pointing to a corner near the bed. "It contains everything you need to know." Carefully, Carla and Lucas began examining the floor, looking for a hidden opening. After a few minutes, they found a loose board and lifted it. Underneath was an old diary, its pages yellowed with age. Carla began reading the diary aloud. It was Helen's diary, detailing her relationship with a man named Albert, an influential businessman who frequently stayed at the hotel. Helen discovered that Albert was involved in criminal activities, and when she confronted him, he killed her to silence her. "This is horrible," Lucas murmured as Carla read Helen's last words. "We need to take this to the police." "Yes, but first, we need to help Helen find peace," Carla said, turning to the spirit. "Helen, we'll make sure the truth is revealed and that you find justice." Helen smiled faintly, her figure beginning to fade. "Thank you. I've been waiting for this for so long." With the diary in hand, Carla and Lucas left the hotel and went straight to the police station. They handed the diary to the detective on duty, who was shocked by the revelation. An investigation was opened, and Albert's crimes were finally exposed, even after all these years. Days later, Carla and Lucas returned to the Imperial Hotel to see if Helen had found peace. As they entered room 217, they felt a different atmosphere. The place was quieter, and the feeling of oppression had disappeared. Suddenly, Helen's figure appeared before them, but this time she was smiling. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "Now I can rest in peace." With those words, Helen's figure slowly faded away until she disappeared completely. Carla and Lucas felt a sense of relief and accomplishment, knowing they had helped a lost soul find rest. In the following days, the story of Room 217 and Helen became known in the city. The hotel, once avoided by many, became a place of remembrance and respect. Carla and Lucas continued their paranormal investigation, but now with a new respect for the mysteries and stories they discovered. Story 3. Phantom Elevator. Robert was a maintenance engineer with over 20 years of experience. He had worked in various high-rise buildings and complex elevator systems, but had never faced anything like what was happening at the Grand Hotel. Located in the heart of the city, the Grand Hotel was known for its sophistication and modernity. But recently, it had gained a sinister reputation due to the strange problems with its elevator. Sophia, the hotel manager, was worried. Guests and staff reported numerous inexplicable incidents. Elevators stopping between floors, moving on their own, doors opening and closing for no apparent reason. Even more disturbing, many claimed to have seen the figure of a mysterious man in the elevators, disappearing as quickly as he appeared. "We need to solve this, Robert," said Sophia, her expression concerned. "Affecting our business and scaring our guests." "I'll do my best," Robert replied, adjusting his toolbox. "First, I need to check the systems and see if there are any technical problems." Robert began his inspection of the elevators, checking all the mechanical and electronic components. Everything seemed to be in perfect condition. There were no visible faults that could explain the anomalous behavior of the elevator. Frustrated, he decided to observe the elevator's operation during the night when the strange events were more frequent. As night fell, the hotel became quieter, and the atmosphere grew tenser. Robert set up a monitoring post in the elevator control room, watching the security cameras and waiting for something to happen. He didn't have to wait long. Around midnight, the lights in one of the elevators began to flicker. Robert watched, intrigued, as the elevator moved on its own, stopping on the 10th floor. The door slowly opened, and to his surprise, the hazy figure of a man appeared on the cameras. "This can't be happening," Robert murmured, rubbing his eyes. "What's going on here?" Determined to find out the truth, Robert called Sophia and asked her to meet him on the 10th floor. Together, they walked through the silent corridors to the elevator, where they could still feel a strange presence. "Do you feel that?" Sophia asked, visibly scared. "Yes," Robert replied. Let's investigate further. As they examined the elevator, the figure of the man appeared again, this time more clearly. He was a middle-aged man dressed in old-fashioned clothes with an expression of deep pain on his face. Robert tried to speak to him. "Who are you? What's happening here?" The spirit looked at them, his eyes filled with sadness. "My name is Henry. I died here in this elevator many years ago." Sophia gasped. "You're saying this place is haunted?" Henry nodded slowly. "Yes, I was an employee at the hotel. During a routine inspection, the elevator failed and I got trapped. No one found me in time. Since then, I've been stuck here, reliving my death." Robert and Sophia exchanged worried looks. "How can we help you?" Robert asked. "You need to fix the error that trapped me here." Henry said, "There's something wrong with the elevator control system. Find out what it is and fix it so I can finally rest." Robert and Sophia promised to help and returned to the control room. Robert spent the night reviewing all the diagrams and maintenance records, looking for any anomaly that could have caused Henry's accident. Finally, he found something. A wiring error that had been overlooked during the last major renovation of the hotel. "I think I found it," Robert said, showing the diagram to Sophia. "We need to fix this. It might be what's causing all these problems." Together, they spent the early morning correcting the error and repairing the elevator control system. As they worked, the environment around them seemed to become lighter, as if an oppressive presence was dissipating. When they finally finished, they went to the elevator where Henry had appeared. The figure of the man was there, but this time he seemed calmer, almost at peace. "You did it," Henry said, his voice a soft whisper. "Thank you. Now I can go." With one last look of gratitude, Henry's figure slowly disappeared, dissolving into the air. Robert and Sophia felt a wave of relief and accomplishment. In the following days, the paranormal phenomena in the elevators ceased. The Grand Hotel returned to normal operations, and Henry's story became a legend among the staff and guests. Robert and Sophia continued with their lives but never forgot the extraordinary experience they had.